If we're talking about one of the best young directors working in the film industry, it will be this man. Watching all of his feature films, I always got the theme and message across in one-time viewing. But it was only after a while I realized why Damien Chazelle's films are so easy to digest. It was because he emphasizes simply through one scene or sequence. A scene or sequence so short, so simple, that it actually could be made into a short film. So we'll be looking at all of the short film in his picture and how he delivered it so effectively so the audience could understand in one viewing. This is a cinema lens. Perhaps you would recognize this short clip.
Rushing or was I dragging? Rushing or dragging?
Rush, I don't know.
Feels familiar? Yes, the short is the exact copy of Whiplash that Chazelle made before producing the feature film. Apparently, no producers wanted to invest in the feature before, so Chazelle was forced to create a short to gain potential investor for the feature film itself. The question is, why does he pick the sequence, this exact sequence, into a short film? Whiplash itself had a lot of masterful sequences such as the caravan audition and this epic ending sequence. Nevertheless, those sequences miss several key points to be a short film: budget, turning point, and theme. I won't be talking a lot about the budget since it felt too constraining for what makes a great short film. But in the end, this is all what his film had in common after Whiplash. The short film that we see is set in one location, two if you count the hallway, and features only several actors that could be shot without having to hire any visual effects. That's why even if the ending sequence of Whiplash is perhaps one of the greatest endings of all time, to spend the budget into that location would be huge. Nonetheless, the purpose of Chazelle making this film is to gain investor, so it will be weird if we have to shoot the ending. The second point is the turning point. In the short itself, we are introduced to Andrew Neiman, an aspiring young drummer, optimistic in his imagination for greatness. We show him being passionate, but still able to have that work-life balance by not taking everything too seriously. This all changes when Fletcher berates him in front of the other band members, being ashamed of himself. In the short film, as Fletcher continues to band practice, Andrew was left behind the alternate seating and reflecting on his own mistakes. By the feature, this marks the end of Act 1 as he changed, wanting to gain recognition and being the best to please his own teacher. Both instances are satisfying as we saw the character grow from initial position, which is a crucial point that every film needs. Yet the most important point is how Chazelle emphasized that theme through the sequence itself. Most who watch Whiplash should have realized that the film is not only about obsession and ambition, but also the coach-student relationship and abusive mentorship. At the very least, the short film covered the latter ones, and we, the audience, are left imagining if Neiman would change or give up on the road. But it also served as an important sequence in the feature as we saw Andrew himself turn into a monster, modified by the cruelty and verbal abuse of Fletcher himself.
He was now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a fucking 9-year-old girl. So for the final father-fucking time, say it louder! I'm upset!
And that's where we could get the hint of Andrew being driven by ambition and obsession like never before. And yes, it also covered the coach-student relationship as well, and make the audience understand what this film is about since this is where the main conflict all starts. As I said before, I will be negating the budget part because it's not a masterclass of making a short film, but rather how to write a sequence like Damien Chazelle, making the audience understand what the film is about in just one go. And surprisingly, this is what Chazelle always does in his next films. We'll be excluding First Man here since it's the only film that's not written by him, and if you like the essay so far, drop the like button and subscribe to help support this channel. La La Land, a film about two characters, Sebastian, a struggling jazz pianist, and Mia, an aspiring actress who fell in love in LA, but was forced to pick between romance and career as things go on. The big point to understand the film comes in the dinner sequence where Seb comes back to surprise Mia for a short meeting.
Surprise.
At this point, both were too busy to have time to meet. Mia is preparing her rehearsal and Sebastian is having a tour for the band, but when they met, this happen.
Pennies so I can
Take
start
what
a
you've
club that
made
no one
and
wants to
start the
go
club.
to?
People will want to go to it because you're passionate about it, and people love what other people are passionate about. You remind people of what
Not
they
in
forgot.
my experience.
The turning point of their romantic relationship into fulfilling each other's ego. Both initially being comfortable with each other, then realize that each other has an ego to fulfill. It exploded until the fire alarm, forcing Sap to get out of the seat. Like Whiplash, this sequence could be a great short film actually. When Mia gets out the door, the film ends. It's a turning point of their rocky relationship, crumbling all hard into the ground. But what's this the sequence trying to tell about the whole film? The premise itself makes it clear it is about the high-end road of chasing dreams, the opportunity cost of getting something that you want. This is all reflected throughout the whole conversation, especially when Sap gave an argument about his broken dreams and steady job.
Well, no one likes jazz. Not even you.
I do like jazz now because
And
of
this
you.
is what I thought you wanted me to do. What am I supposed to do? Go back to playing Jingle Bells?
And this all affects their relationship as Mia questioned about the time available for both of them to be together. This is not only about Sap's sacrifice of his own jazz club, but focusing on the band means that Sap had to sacrifice a lot of his own time for the band instead of other things, including their own relationship. And when Mia stepped out of the door, Sap had made his own choice. It became clear as well for us, the audience, that there are needs to sacrifice to chase dreams, which is well reflected in his masterful 9-minute bittersweet ending sequence. If you aren't convinced yet, I'll give you one more example from his recent film.
Scene 17, take 1. Mark.
Personally, this is the two of the best film sequences of Babylon, aside from his film's powerful ending. It takes place on only one location to make the audience understand what Babylon is about. The turning point here is like the previous examples. Instead of using characters, it planted new information to the audience about the industry of broken dreams. Here, we saw Margot Robbie playing as Nellie Leroy, a silent film actress who was forced to change her style of work after the introduction of sound film. Throughout the whole sequence, we saw the frustration of Nellie to meet the demand of a new standard, mixed with masterful writing that anyone who worked in the film industry could relate to.
Hiya, this is Joanne from Mother!
Numerous takes were shot, and when they nailed the shot, were brought to one realization.
Billy, come on.
He's dead.
We as the audience are brought to witness how the cast and crew should adapt with this new technology.
Who sneezed? Who the fuck sneezed?
And Nellie herself is able to solve the story's conflict to get one take right. But that specific death scene is the turning point for the audience as well, especially mainstream moviegoers, but how fucked up this industry is. And it is up to the team. Like the biblical story itself, the Tower of Babylon, which was meant to be heaven on earth at the time, was never completed because God was enraged by the cockiness of mankind. In the beginning, we saw Brad Pitt, Jack Conrad, and Nellie in their prime days, being hailed as great performers by the audience. Seemingly thinking that this could go on forever, they forgot their place, and when the technology evolves, their career goes downhill. Of course, the short sequence doesn't translate that theme directly, but we could see from the frustration of Nellie herself. Before, she could nail that sequence easily, able to reach the vision of the director. But now, the frustration she expresses just becomes a lesson for her that she's just a mortal being, not a god who could have their glory days going on forever. These sequences caused Chazelle's film to be easily processed by the audience who wanted to watch the film only once. There are, of course, a stretch of complex ideas existing in the whole film, but for the audience who wanted something simple, they didn't need to watch it repeatedly to get the whole story. It's so simple that the sequence itself could be taken out and made into a short film, and a masterclass in screenwriting on how to deliver story intention and theme in a short, yet effective way without taking the audience out of the immersion. Many films these days like to take a simple theme and make it complicated. It's valid if you try to challenge the audience, or perhaps it's a journey of the filmmaker itself to ask a question that has no right or wrong answer. But most tend to make the film convoluted just for the sake of being pretentious and not delivering the idea effectively. As a writer, I understand the urge to do this. But film is not only made for personal purposes, it's also for the audience. And in the end, delivering ideas effectively is more rewarding than just making the audience confused. Through Chazelle script writing, there's a lot that we can learn regarding how to make films impactful. Do you agree with my thoughts about this? I would like to know about your thoughts. And also, please, if you want to support this channel, you can give it a thumbs up and also click the subscribe button. And I got nothing more else to say. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.